good.
Yeah.
Hello, so we're currently on about 400 kilometers into the GR10. We're camping at a beautiful lake at 2,000 meters. And I'm going to do a gear review on the trail of the Six Moons Designs Lunar Solo. So I have one, and Finley has one, who's behind the camera, who's walked so far with me. I've also got about 400 other kilometers on it, walking the Pennine Way in England. So to start off with, it is a single skin tent that pitches with a trekking pole. And it can be a bit finicky to pitch. Like, it pitches really fast and easily, but there's a lot of finesse to how you pitch it. You can sort of lean the pole forwards quite a lot to get more airflow in the back, or if it's going to be really windy and rainy, you might want to pitch it arse into the wind with the back a bit more taut so that you don't get so much air gap behind. Also, the bathtubbing isn't like, unless you have perfectly flat ground, you only really get a bathtub at this part of the tent here along the front. What I love about the tent though is how big it is. If you come and have a look in, Finn, you can see there's plenty of room for my pad and all of my gear next to me. And if I go and sit inside it,
There's also room out front to put your boots, bottles, and they all stay dry.
you can see if I sit inside it, like, I can easily sit up in here, and even when it's covered in condensation, I can easily put on my down jacket in the night if I'm a bit cold. It pitches with 6 main stakes that I would say are all equally as important, and then 2 other stakes. And I normally stake out with my spare trekking pole this side here, which is with my head in normally. Sometimes I switch it the other way around, but I like to have my head upwards. And that just keeps your head end that much more up. If you find a stick, you can put one on the other end, but there's no sticks here. It handles weather really well if you pitch it properly and you know weather's coming. So if you know there's a storm coming and you pitch it arse into the wind and you pitch it rocked backwards so that air can't get in, you know, no rain gets in at all. If you pitch it front end in, it's potentially some blow and rain in, but not actually rained on. So it's not that bad. The vestibular out the front is absolutely brilliant as well. You can I normally leave both my shoes out the front, and then, I mean, I care about my shoes, so I keep them close to the tent, but then I normally keep a bunch of other stuff outside. And normally that all stays dry, but it's also stuff that I don't worry about keeping dry so much. I've not used any other single skin shelters, so I can't compare it against others in terms of condensation. But condensation is definitely a thing on this tent. You get a lot of it. We've had one night so far where we've had no condensation, and really the only way to avoid getting condensation is to pitch it on one. It's got to be somewhere where there's no like low clouds or fog or mist. You need a decent breeze, and you have to be pitched with the breeze either very, very high at the back or breeze coming into the front, and then you stay dry. But really it's just luck whether you get if you don't get condensation, and most of the time you do get condensation. There's a little hanging bit at the top of the apex of the tent. Don't worry about showing it. And I normally hang up a bandana in there. So when I wake up in the morning, I normally pack up all my gear into my backpack and then just wipe down the whole of the inside of the tent because it's normally very condensation. The storm worthiness, I would say, is very good. We've had...
You need good pegs, though, to survive a strong storm.
Yeah.
That's very
We've
important.
been using the MSR groundhogs, and they've been phenomenal, both for smashing them into the ground and for holding when it is very, very windy. But I would say the weather resistance is definitely there. The bug protection is great. I really like the sort of mid design, and I believe it's on par with other mid/single skin shelters for condensation. I can't really imagine what design would get less condensation. I mean, there's a massive air gap around the whole thing. So yeah, I'm really like it as a piece of gear. Really happy with it. I mean, I wish it was lighter. If it was made out of Cuban fiber, it would be lighter, and that would be great.
Yeah.
Then it would be super more expensive.
I believe these tents as a baseline are about 680-ish with the guy lines.
Well, these are the old
Yeah,
ones,
these are the old
and they
sill
quote them at
nylon ones.
680-ish, but they actually weigh with the stuff sack
And
the
guy lines
740.
But the
And
new...
I think it's mainly the stuff sack.
Yeah, but the
causing that
new
weight.
sill poly version is slightly heavier as a baseline of 740, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, I don't think so much. The new one, they added a thicker bathtub floor to, and then changed to sill poly. And the change to sill poly is great, honestly, they didn't need to.
Yeah, there's because the floors are quite thin. A lot of people think they're going to rip, but we've been going for like 18 days and we haven't even had any wear on them at all.
I had no issues on the pen I went.
You got to be a bit careful not to pitch on rocks and stuff, but that's just common
just
sense.
Clear the rocks out of the way, and it's all good. The floor is very slidey, as is the issue with all nylon floors, but it's just something you learn to live with. It's not that bad. So overall, really love the tent. You know, this design of tent I think is brilliant. Like, it's just so spacious. You get so much room in it.
We've seen a couple of people with ultralight tents that are very coffin shaped, and you just think, how do you survive in that for all this time?
Really, I think the ideal tent would be this thing made out of Cuban fiber.
Yeah.
Like, that would be the ideal tent. But if you want to keep the cost down a little bit and you don't mind having a little bit more weight, which is basically where we were at, because Cuban is obviously very expensive. And if you don't know, Cuban is the old name for what is now called DCF, Dyneema Composite Fabric, I believe. So yeah, brilliant tents, really like them. Good, storm-worthy.
Out of 10, how would you rate them?
I don't know, I don't think I can give it a value out of 10.
Okay.
If you want to check out the storm it weathered, I think we have a video somewhere on our GR10 series.
Titled
of the
Storm.
aftermath of the storm.
Yeah, that was pretty intense.
So, yeah.
Anyway, thank you.
Just thought I'd mention a few things about the durability of the tent after having used it for 35 days. Let me switch to the other
So
camera.
as we did mention a bit yesterday, the Sil Nylon bathtub floor has held up brilliantly, and the Sil Nylon outer shell has held up brilliantly. However, I do have in my mesh developing a few tiny little holes. I don't know whether that's possibly because I got the zip jammed in it once or twice. But yep, that's definitely a thing I should mention in a review. Also, I did make some modifications to the tent. So I added these little loopy things here, just because this bit here is almost impossible to get onto this clip. So I added these little extension loops because they clip on easily. And I'm not sure if it was because I added those, and my gut tells me it wasn't. I think it was just because this plastic clip is a bit rubbish. But this plastic clip deformed over time, and this started popping off just randomly, like the clip wouldn't hold it. So I reinforced it with this little piece of rope here to stop this side popping off. So that side never pops off, and I don't normally clip the other door on. I normally just use the zipper. So there's some durability points there. Oh, also I added in a cork stopper to the top that you can't see in here, but basically instead of leaving my trekking pole going straight onto the material, I took like a small piece of cork and drilled a hole in it, and shortened it like this, so that the pole didn't poke through. I don't think it would have, because it was all very reinforced very strongly, but it just gave me a bit of peace of mind knowing that there wasn't like a, I don't know, tungsten carbide tip going into the thing. So another little addition.